Our first reader received his MFA in creative writing from The Ohio State University in 2000. His writing has appeared in Crab Orchard Review, Hayden's Ferry Review, and Cassette from My Ex, an anthology of personal essays on relationships in the era of the mixtape. Little known fact, I'm in that book too. His online projects have been featured on Boing Boing, Metafilter, and Product Hunt. You can find him on Twitter at Avoision, or on his website, avoision.com, a personal blog he has updated every single day since July of 2002. Please welcome Felix Jung.
Good night.
Hi. Before I start, I wanted to say thanks to my wife for coming, and also my in-laws, Julie and Bob, who are celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary. And as my gift to them, I forced them to come listen to me read poetry because I'm a terrible son-in-law. So the first one we have, it comes from the Chinese word for smoking, which is sikin, which literally means to eat smoke. And the interesting connotation there is that it's not really any sense of a vice or addiction, that it's just seen as gluttonous. Very short poem. Nicotine. I miss cigarettes. Eating smoke, drinking fire. The gods do these things. The middle country. Like every tribe before us, we assumed ourselves the focus of the sun, divine inheritors of wind and mountain peaks. Zhongguo, the Chinese name for China, means the middle country, center of the earth and universe. To keep the savages alone, we built a wall more lasting than the land it separated. Day by day, it spanned 2,000 years of lifting heavy stone on stone with countless dead, each body worth its weight in brick, our corpses tucked between the mortaring. Today, when raindrops leak beneath the cracks, they trickle down to find brown leaves, dry grass, old seeds that never bloomed. A couple of short ones. This is called Photography. An art form made by hopeless romantics. Every picture says, yesterday was so much better than now. And also a short haiku. Indecision. The elevator stops, doors creaking open halfway between two floors. This next poem is actually a very, very old one. A good friend of mine, Dipti, she is a photographer, and in 1998-99, she was at the Ohio State Fair and captured this image of this couple. And it's a great picture. If you find me afterwards, I'll show it to you. It's amazing. And it's a young couple's kissing, and behind them is this carnival ride, and it just says Devastator, big letters behind it. It's really, really great. And so I was taken with this photo, and so I decided to write a poem about it. And it's been on my website for a little while. It's under a Creative Commons license. And then last year in October, I found this mention of the poem on Twitter. I'm like, well, what's that? And I found this woman, let's see, her name was Audrey Summers, working for a program at PRX, Public Radio Exchange, and did this audio segment on it. And it sounded amazing. It was like an NPR kind of a thing. It was a really amazing thing. And I was just blown away because it went from this moment in time that was captured in a photograph that I wrote a poem about, and then someone turned it into an audio. So it was a really nice progression, even though it was a 20-year-old kind of a moment. The poem is called Young Couple, Ohio State Fair. Two lovers start to kiss beside a row of roller coasters, creaky tilt-a-whirls and games of chance, ignoring all the noise surrounding them. It's August and they taste the afternoon. Her lips made salty from a burger, his turned sweeter by a piece of cotton candy. Each one tries to hold their breath as tightly as they try to hold the other, fingers slick with sugar grease. Behind them, metal gears begin to thrum as nervous children close their eyes and place their palms along the bars. Young girls and boys sense screaming, spinning, locked inside a world designed to break, to force the letting go. When dreaming you. When dreaming you, it never hurts. We kiss and everything I've missed about you goes away. The shape of your face, the fragrance of your breath takes precedence. The aftermath is certainty. I sense your image as it dims and fades. You go away. The mind is cruelty and offers paltry recompense. On waking, even though it's always me who's leaving you, it always hurts. This is a poem called Old Jewelry. A girl who loved me once bought a silver ring for me. She purchased 2 of them, identical, and said, "Let's wear them, just the both of us." Each time our hands collided, fingers intertwined, I felt them touch. I'd like to think she kept her ring and took it with her when she left. Some nights I hold it to the light to nudge my memory. Like anything, like everything, all metal fades. I try to push it on and feel a twist. The ring is cold and bites against my skin. This history, this piece of me that once upon a time felt right and fit. This next poem it's a little weird because I had it much longer for a very, very long time. I realized the first half was just crap, but it took me like 10 years to get to realize that. It actually was inspired by Bobby Fischer, and I was playing a lot more chess when I was in college and in grad school, and kind of knew that he was in exile and sort of left the US, but this was also before I knew about the tax evasion and the horrible things he said about Jews in America, so it kind of was really less about him. It started that way, but it was more really about returning. And the poem is called Bobby Fischer in Exile. Every city has its grid. Each street eventually meets the next, however near or far from here it is. The sidewalks have their lines and distances. Each house its old familiar doors that creak and say, "Of course you can. Come home. Come home." And just 2 more. This poem is actually very, very new, and I really haven't read it out loud. A good friend of mine, Anne, died early, and we were in grad school together, and we both had this fascination for the Winchester Mansion. And I don't know if you know about this story, but Sarah Winchester was the heir to the Winchester rifle fortune, and I sort of have some notes here. So the husband died in 1881, and she inherited $21 million, and got a salary daily of about $1,000, which translates to about $23,000 right now per day. And so she started building this incredibly intricate, crazy house, like doors that just don't go anywhere, hallways that are kind of just completely misaligned. I think it's dangerous too that you need a guide because a door would open up and there'd be like a 1-story drop, so you can't just kind of go wandering. And construction happened on the house from 1884 until her death, so for 38 years. And the legend is that construction happened 24/7, 7 days a week, nonstop. And the legend also says that that she was talking to a spirit medium, and that she had to build this house to appease the spirits of all the animals and people that the rifle killed, that her family was responsible for. So part of the legend says that this is, you know, for them, and also it's to avoid being found by them, so that she was always in a different room. So my friend Ian and I both had this fascination, talked about, wouldn't it be amazing if we could rebuild a house using Legos? And it never really came to pass. I even actually called, this was even before the internet was more than it is now, and I couldn't really find blueprints, but this poem kind of comes from that. Winchester Mansion for Anne. The legends say that every night the widow slept in a different place, sure that any ghost would never find her. She built 100 rooms, tore them down, and built 100 more. Visitors are given warnings not to wander, as some have disappeared for hours. Secret passageways, stairs that vanish into the ceiling, doors that open to reveal a solid wall. You and I made plans to recreate that house with children's building blocks, hopeful we could map the chaos of that architecture to a clean and ordered grid. When you died, I gathered with the other mourners inside your church, a building that defines its center with a single open room. When your family left with you, the rest of us dispersed. I don't know where they buried you, though I've often thought to seek you out. You are hidden somewhere in the earth, down a corridor of grass and stone, resting in a space that once was open, and then, at last, behind a door forever closed. It's interesting to be reading poems up here because you kind of just hear the words and you're not really seeing the structure of this stuff. And I always found it kind of interesting for some poets who would say, you know, oh, this next poem it's a villanelle or it's a pantoum, and kind of want to show off the structure of the form. it's kind of like a pat on the shoulder kind of a thing. And some folks will say, before I read the next one, a note on the form, and it's pure ego. It's just kind of obnoxiousness. Before I read this next poem, a note on the form. Sorry. So this is a found poem, and the nature of the found poem, which is really fun, is that it's just text that you find every day. So it would be usually lists, table of contents, a list of songs, a list of album titles, that kind of a thing. And I came across a list of Latin phrases and university mottos on Wikipedia. And so I found that kind of fascinating, started playing with it. And this poem is a found poem that just pulls from various mottos of different universities all over the world. So it's something to keep in mind as I'm reading it. I still haven't found a good title for it, so for right now it's just motto. I lift my eyes to the mountains. I look ahead, feet on the ground and sight to the universe. Look ever forward. In sunlight, wisdom, we follow the light, we are ready. Faith and work, faith in the future of the human race. Above all, be human. Nothing human is strange to me. As an eagle towards the sky, nothing is too heavy for those who have wings. In the mountains, of the mountains, for the mountains. In travel, the truth. Science is the truest guide in life. To the top, to the light, to the stars through difficulties. The sun shines over everyone. I shall grow and I shall shine. While I burn, I give light to others. I am still learning. What more should I do? Be obedient to the truth. Be immortal through knowledge. Be opened. Be light. Thank you.